Hello, everyone. My name is Olivia. I'm 47 years old, and this is one of the most unbelievable stories I've ever experienced. Even now, I'm not entirely sure how I feel about it, but I can't stop replaying the events in my mind.
If humans evolved from apes, why do apes still exist? A science education advocate appeared on TV, emphasizing that too few teenage girls are pursuing science. We need to change this completely by 360 degrees. Why should I pay for my son's overdue fees? I mean, maybe because he's 12 and can't earn money yet. Also, there's the agreement you both signed when he got his library card, stating you'd be accountable for any fines as his parent or legal guardian. Just a wild guess. Wool is used to create glass. While holding a foldable paper map of Disney World, my sister-in-law asked, "Why doesn't this map show me where I am? Usually, maps have an arrow saying, 'You are here,' so you know your location." Why did my lawyer withdraw from my case? Because you ignored our emails and didn't show up in court. But I don't use email. Well, you did hire us through email. Another favorite, they didn't catch me driving though. Ed, you were found passed out in the driver's seat with an empty vodka bottle and soaked in your own urine. It's not hard for them to figure out you were driving drunk. Yeah, but who actually saw me driving? One of my former co-workers believed that the sun and moon were the same object, flipping over at night to become the moon. He was stunned when I pointed to the moon in daylight. He seemed on the verge of a panic attack until we shared a joint behind the warehouse, which calmed him down. However, he still couldn't fully grasp it and kept glancing at the sky throughout our shift. A classmate claimed Ketanji Brown was unsuitable for the Supreme Court because she's a woman and too soft, so she'd become overly attached to cases. A co-worker returned after a zoo visit and informed us that panthers aren't actually pink. Mexico is the capital of Spain. It's fine to smoke while pregnant. I did, and my child turned out perfectly fine. Years ago, a couple proudly told me they had been learning Spanish for a year in preparation for immigrating to Brazil. When I mentioned that Brazilians speak Portuguese, not Spanish, they insisted all Latin Americans speak Spanish. Even more unbelievable, someone who genuinely believed brown cows produce chocolate milk, thinking it wasn't just a joke. My 45-year-old brother once said that if you looked at the sun through a telescope, yes, a lot to unpack here, and the sun exploded, you'd know about it much sooner than anyone else. That cats and dogs are naturally opposites, like up and down, and of course aren't mammals. The claim that public libraries have no relevance in today's world. That the Earth is flat because it's all about density. They refuse to explain anything further. I called to make a dinner reservation for 6:45. The hostess informed me that they didn't have availability at that time, but could offer a table at 6:45 instead. Years ago, while I was living in South Dakota, I went to Michigan to visit family for Christmas. My aunt asked if Michigan's cold weather was bothering me. Puzzled, I explained that South Dakota's weather is just as cold, if not worse. She seemed surprised and mentioned not hearing about any cold snaps in the southern US. That's when I realized she believed South Dakota was located in the southern part of the country because of the word South in its name. My perception of her completely changed in that instant. Evolution is nonsense. If I pushed 1 million people off the Empire State Building, not a single one of them would grow wings. Listen, Randall, his actual name because who cares? That's not how evolution works. That's called magic. Now go back to drinking after church, driving your kids home, and don't forget to hook up with another 18-year-old server at the restaurant after closing. I'm sure your wife won't suspect a thing. You absolute moron. In Spanish class recently, I overheard this exchange. Girl, dude, you keep stealing my food. At this rate, it's gluttony. Boy, gluttony? That sounds like algebra. Is it algebra? Girl, visibly trying to stay calm. Context clues. Is your brain running on one single brain cell? Boy, wait, is it? The first person I dated after my amputation panicked when they found out and told me to stay away because they thought amputations from cancer were contagious. This happened back when MySpace was just becoming popular and sending text messages cost about 10 cents each. A coworker genuinely believed that jellyfish were mythical creatures. If I wear a mask, I won't be able to breathe. A classmate once asked if an ancient Greek philosopher was still alive. For anyone curious, it was Thucydides. There was a conversation about how using microwaves to heat food is extremely harmful to your health since they supposedly make the food radioactive, so they should be avoided entirely. The person sharing this opinion was also a heavy user of illegal substances. On one occasion, I overheard a coworker being asked how tall he was, to which he responded, 5'12". This was the same individual who, when I inquired about the expected time for a task to be completed, replied, 20 minutes, 15 at the very least. I had a disagreement with someone once, though I can't recall what the argument was about. It ended abruptly when he declared his IQ and followed it up by saying, "I'm correct because I'm sure I'm correct." At that moment, I realized continuing the discussion was pointless because it was clear I wouldn't get through to him. I went to Spain last summer. Where's that? Mexico? My eye twitched so severely that I genuinely thought it might pop out. I was expecting my first child at the time and got dragged to my in-laws' house for some obligatory gathering for my husband's birthday. Although they're educated, they aren't particularly bright, and one moment from that day is seared into my memory. Don't let the OB keep the ultrasound on for more than 10 seconds, or the baby will get cooked alive. My mother-in-law, who actually teaches ultrasound technology at a local college, said this. She was always into scaring people, but I was so stunned I just stared at her and eventually replied, no, that's not how ultrasounds work. Bonus stupidity. My father-in-law believes that being vaccinated makes it impossible to catch COVID. This man works in healthcare. I have seizures, and someone once asked if they were contagious. My cousin, who was next to me, nudged me and whispered to start coughing. Now my cousin is blind, so when I started coughing, she threw her cane aside and pretended to panic, shouting that she suddenly couldn't see. The guy bolted to avoid catching the seizures. My cousin burst into laughter when she heard him flee, saying she wished she could see his reaction and imagining it must have been hilarious. After I described his expression to her, she fell to the floor laughing. She's equally mischievous when people ask her ridiculous questions about her blindness. Today, someone asked her if blindness was fatal, even though she was born blind. Someone once argued that wearing my coat made me gay. If Earth spins, why does my front door always face east? A girl once inquired about how illegal substances are sold. I jokingly said, "The black market." She loudly exclaimed in front of everyone, "Wow, that is so racist." I won't take the vaccine because it'll make me sterile. You're 65. A mutual friend experienced a miscarriage, and my coworker said to her, "There's a reason for everything. God must have intended for this to happen." The government wants you to think oil is running out, but it's not because it's made from bones. We could even get it from chicken bones. I was utterly fascinated by how he interpreted fossil fuels and managed to arrive at such a hilariously incorrect conclusion.